and paste so bright, so neat. Folding papers, color sweet. Digital dreams with just one click. Craft along, get your fix.
Hello everybody, it's Jody from Life by Design, and today in this episode I want to show you how to prepare your envelope for the cutting machine. So I'm in Cricut Design Space, and what I did is I uploaded it down here and brought it onto my canvas. So let me zoom out a little bit so you can see everything that I have here. So I have the card and the skate design on the left, and we're going to focus on the envelope first. So what I'm going to do is come over to the top right where you see the grouping. I'm going to ungroup this, all right? And then I'm clicking off of it so that they're both ungrouped. You can see my envelope and the insert here are now currently ungrouped. So now these are two pieces. So I want to ungroup it again. So I'm going to click again, and you can see over in our layers, this is the envelope, this is the insert. So we have two separate things going on here. All right, so now I can separate these as two separate items. I'm going to put this down here. So in the envelope, I'm going to open this up in my layer so you can see it. So here's my layer for the envelope, and it has the lines in the middle, which should be set to score lines. So I'm going to click on it. I could move it, as you can see. I'm going to undo this. This line here is going to be set to score. So I'm going up into the operation at the top, change from cut to score. All right, once I do that, you can see the dotted lines, which shows me that they're score. So I'm going to select both of them. You could do this two ways, by just scrolling around the image, selecting both, or just because they're still grouped. This is still grouped together, okay? I can click on the top and notice that they're all highlighted green. So I'm going to attach that. So you'll see the attach at the top. So this, if I turn the eyeball on and off, this will be attached, and it will stay when we put it on the mat, and it will score. So let's work on the insert. So the insert, I'm going to open this up. Here is the score line for the insert over here. I'm going to go back into operation, change from cut to score. You're going to see the dotted lines. Now I want to select them both. Now that they're both selected, I'm going to the bottom and attaching it. Okay, once it's attached, because I did the second, which when you do that, it brings it to the top. So I can put this back on top of this and group them back together if I want, just for, to keep it a little organized. You don't need to do that. It's, some people like to spread everything out throughout their display. I like to keep it a little organized. So I'm going to once again put it to the side and group it. Now, it's going to stay when I go onto the mats. It will separate because grouping doesn't affect it, only attaching does. Now let's take a look at the card over here. The one thing I want to do now is ungroup. I grouped these things separately so you can to make it a little easier to use. So you can see when I ungrouped it, now these layers on the right hand side are all separated. Okay, so I can come in here and whoops, let me first click off of it. And now I could come in and separate these individually. This is grouped as well. It will come out as two pieces, the pine sprig. This is the paper string. You can use regular string, or you can use this as paper. Here are my skates. I have a bunch of, here's the, I'm going to separate these. I'm going to select them all at once. I'm going to move my snowflakes over down here. And then you can see this is grouped together. I want to ungroup it once again, and I'm moving it over. I keep these grouped separately for safety reasons, so that if you know anything about the designs, I don't want to have to ungroup once and then split up everything. So I like to keep them as, together. So you'll have to ungroup them multiple times. Now, here we have the card. The card also has a score line for the folding. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here. Whenever you see this little arrow, and I'm right at the bottom, I'm zoomed in. When you see that arrow, you're going to open that up, and inside of that will have, it just means that arrow means that it's grouped. So I'm going to come and click on that score line once again that's in the middle, and I'm changing that to score. Okay, so when I click off of it, you can see the little dashes, which lets me know that it's scored, and then I'm going to attach. All right, so this is good to go. If I want, I could put the snowflake back on the top, but first I have to right click on it, arrange, and bring to front, and I'll move that back on top. Now, to deal with the skates, depending on what you want to do, and I put this in the instruction, but I'm going to go through this with you. I'm going to ungroup it once, and let me zoom in for this so you can really see what I'm doing. I'm going to click off of it, and I want you to see what I have here. So I have the 3 pieces that are separate. This is the only one you have to change and deal with because this is grouped with the score lines. When I open it up over in the layers box, then you're going to see the score lines here and the cut line, okay? So in the score line, what I'm going to do is choose back in operation, which I want to do. So you can keep it as pen, score, or you can keep a cut because some of them, and I'll show you in the instruction sheet, that you will get 3 different looks depending on what you want to do. So for the stitching, or you can completely delete it, and I can just hit delete and just leave my boot like this, okay? There's no right or wrong for this. You can choose what you want. In this scenario, I actually like the pen. I think the pen works best in if you really want it defined. So then once I add the pen to it, I change that, let me go back. I change the operation to pen. But I'm going to select them together and attach that. So I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to ungroup it. But when I ungroup it, I don't need to separate them into 3 because this top one is grouped separately. That's why I group them like this. When I open it up, you can see the score lines here, and I'm just going to change this. So I'll change it to pen. I'm going to click on this top one because it selects just that grouped area and attach. Okay, so I have everything attached. I'm going to zoom out one more time. So the 4 things, or you could say 5, that you can change in this is the score lines on the insert, on the envelope, that's 2. 3 is the card. 4 is the skates, and you can choose score, cut, or pen for the skates. That's it. Now we're ready to make up in the top right corner. I'm going to click on the make. It says save the project. I'm not going to save it because I already have it saved. And now we are in on the cutting mats. So you can see the first thing, all the white will end up on one. What I like to do to give myself a little more room is I'm going to turn the envelope to the right, and then I could put it in the corner and I get a lot more room. So if you want to only use an 8.5 by 11, you have plenty of room to move this around and make this just fit, make all of this fit on just an 8.5 by 11, just by changing that, okay? This one will be separate because it just can't all fit on the same one. We have the gray for the skates. We have the green for the sprigs, and you can see that they're separate. And then we have the blue, which is a, you'll need a piece of 12 by 12 or at least an 11 by 11 sheet of paper for the envelope. And you can see this is all attached and has the score lines. We have our card with the score line. And last but not least, we have our boot inside, which shows the heel and the paper. Oh, and one more thing, we have the bow and the warmest wishes. So those are our 6 colors that we're using: white, gray, green, blue, black, and red, and you're ready to continue. One last thing, when you are ready to cut, I like to use medium cardstock. That's my go-to for most of the things that I use, and it's going to ask me the scoring wheel that I want to use. To make it simple, it's worth investing the $8 in buying a stylus. So I hit Edit Tools and I use the scoring stylus. Now I don't know if it's still that, but it is worth the investment because that way you can keep your scoring stylus in clamp A to score. You could keep your fine point blade in clamp B, and you don't have to keep switching it back and forth. So I also like to use in medium cardstock, I'm going to change this to more pressure. And then once I have the scoring stylus selected and the cardstock, I'm going to hit remember material settings. That way it will keep both ready to go and I don't have to keep choosing this. Now I'm ready to hit the cut and get going. Hope this tutorial was helpful in getting you set up to properly cut your envelope, your insert, and your SVG file designs in Cricut Design Space. If you have any more difficulties, please reach out. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, bye-bye.